Well, the media could be teaching us what it means to turn down the partisan rhetoric in this country, but instead they're doing the classic, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. Instead of, again, showing their viewers what real journalism is or what it means to be the bigger person and show empathy for the opposition, MSNBC's Morning Joe instead decided not to broadcast at all today. Now, this is crazy. Clayton and I were both in corporate media. Clayton was a host at Fox and Friends, and I was with MSNBC before. Normally, when a big story breaks like this, they either pull...
All hands on deck.
It's all hands on deck. A lot of times, they would say, okay, the weekday anchors are going to come in over the weekend because this is too big of a show. They get their biggest personalities in. They don't just say... sitting this one out, can't do it. Here is the excuse they gave.
Well, it hasn't even been 48 hours since the assassination attempt against former President Donald Trump, but it's sending the media into a frenzy. This morning, Morning Joe, MSNBC's flagship political morning show, is off the air amid reported concerns over what guests might say.
They don't trust them.
Bonkers. Also, there are reports that they don't trust themselves, or maybe they just think, look, we take the piss out of this guy every day. We cannot pretend that we are sad about an attempt on his life. So we don't trust ourselves to be that good of actors. We certainly are not journalists. This is not the news. This is our own agenda. We got to sit it out. That's wild. And then in the wake of that news, The Daily Show also canceled their planned coverage of the Republican National Convention. They won't go to the convention at all as they had planned, but instead they'll be broadcasting from their studio. Here's how they spun it. They said instead they'll go to their New York City studio. I'll apologize for the inconvenience, but they're saying due to logistical issues and the evolving situation in Milwaukee. Like, okay, logistical issues are clearly not a problem. It's the evolving situation.
Oh, I see. So now the usual easy mocking of President Trump is not so easy anymore. That situation has now evolved. That situation, because now the crazy leftists, the Antifa crazies who tried to assassinate a president of the United States, that situation has now evolved.
Right.
And we can't go to Milwaukee to do our normal like fake comedy routine where we go around. Yeah. Here's what they're going to do. Here's what the Daily Show would have done. They would have walked around on the floor talking to delegates in crazy hats. Mm-hmm. You know, delegates love to bring their big hats with balloons and all of that stuff. Sure. You know, they're there.
Beads.
And they go around with their microphone and they try to get gotcha questions, trying to make them look stupid.
Yes.
So that's all the Daily Show was going to do, is just go up to someone and be like, why do you love President Trump so much?
Right. What's a democracy?
How do you feel about Stormy Daniels? You know, that's the kind of stuff they would have done for the
yes.
They can't do it anymore.
I wonder if this has to do with that $30 million lawsuit against Maddow and MSNBC that's moving forward, where they're actually going to have some accountability for the things they've said. I wonder if they're like, if that's moving forward, then maybe we should be a little bit more careful of the rhetoric we're putting out.
That's a great point.
It could be that.
Yeah. But MSNBC doesn't have the deep pockets we thought they did. Also, no one's watching Morning Joe to begin with. I mean, this is a joke anyway.
Yes. The comments on the MSNBC post on the Morning Joe Twitter account saying we're going to be off the air tomorrow and we'll be back on Tuesday are pretty fun. There was one that I especially enjoyed saying, you know, Donald Trump survives and you're off the air. The world is a little bit of a better place. That did give me a chuckle. But it's clear that especially The Daily Show, but also Morning Joe, they only have one way to cover Donald Trump, which is as a cartoon. Now, an internal memo from a San Diego Fox station was released in the last few hours. A news director sent this to DC Drano, the YouTuber. And this, again, is an internal memo from a news organization telling the stations exactly how to cover the developing story of the shooting at the Trump rally. They're saying, hello, just a reminder, stick to the facts. Don't speculate, editorialize, sensationalize, or jump to conclusions. Don't call it an assassination attempt unless authorities say that it is. Don't say a shooting targeted Trump or the rally unless authorities confirm that. Clarify if it's actual gunshots, because that's unclear. If authorities don't know, it's okay to say that. Anchors, this one really gets me. Reminder to be mindful of your body language. You don't have to be serious or add comments or adjectives for color. So we don't have to take this seriously? your body language. So, poke fun if you want. Be jovial if you want.
Don't use anchor serious face.
Right.
Like we went live right at moments after the shooting happened. JJ Carroll was in our studio, former Customs and Border Protection agent, and his father was a longtime Secret Service agent. And we were shocked and devastated. And it showed in our faces. Like, you're telling me that I can't show concern
and scared,
obviously. What's happening to my country?
Let's look again at this memo. It says you don't have to say that this is scary moments. Can we put it back on the screen, the third to last one? No need to say scary moments. So don't scare people, even though it's scary. Don't say so. And again, at the bottom, this is just a reminder. I know we all know. Do we all know? What is it that we all know? Not to be serious or upset about an assassination attempt on a president? I suspect we're going to see many internal communications memos like this from not just local affiliates, but also mainstream media networks. But why are they so hesitant to offer this humanity or real news coverage to Donald Trump? Now, I came across this week, and I was reading this hours before the assassination attempt, and I felt like I should share it with you. This is a great book, also one that I got at my local library, called Bad News, about how Trump is catnip for the press, but specifically they have to cover him in a specific way or else he's not. Take a look at this, because I didn't know this. CBS's executive chairman Les Moonves famously said that Trump may not be good for America, but is damn good for CBS. And in fact, Ben Smith reported that in 2016, the head of NBC warned colleagues that MSNBC would take a 30% hit if Hillary Clinton was elected. So they knew that they avoided that because Trump was elected. So they're like, good, our ratings stay high. Now, leaked tapes from the president of CNN showed that the network encouraged Trump to run and even offered him tips on how to win a CNN-sponsored debate. What these recordings reveal is that CNN's cartoonish role as a determined and vituperative fake news media foil to Trump, while perhaps real for some of the reporters and broadcasters involved, is at least to some degree kabuki theater for executives. And Matt Taibbi wrote that even as president, Trump to network leaders is first and foremost a commodity, and an extraordinarily valuable one at that. So he is their cash cow. But if they can't take the piss out of them, they don't know what to do. And in case you are wondering, well, he's the candidate. You always are going to cover the candidate. That's kind of news coverage. Well, the data shows quite clearly that he is something that they ride upon. So take a look at this. In 2017, Trump was mentioned the equivalent of once every 250 words. That's 2 or 3 times per article. This average encompasses all articles, including sports, style, food, and travel. It suggests little is published without at least some reference to Trump. He is the lens through which all stories are filtered. Trump was the 4th most used word in the entire New York Times in 2017. In 2018, the Times published the word Trump over 93,000 times. When you compare that to Barack Obama's candidacy in 2009, he only was mentioned in the Times 47,000 times, Clinton 34,000 times. So they can't cover this in an unbiased way because 93,000 times they've already told you what they think of this guy. They cannot then turn around and see him as a person, as a husband, as a grandfather, as a father, as they just cannot. They won't even try. It's beyond transparent. And this was made even more apparent with these denialist headlines over the weekend in the immediate aftermath of the shooting. You probably saw these, but it's shocking to see them all in one place. That he fell, that it was a loud noise, that the Secret Service, the one in the top left about CNN, Trump's speech interrupted by Secret Service. Okay. Trump rushed off stage after disruption. Now, this makes even more sense after the memo we just showed you. And even I got this one because I subscribed to the Telegraph's email newsletter. And it says just shooting in quotes like, what, we can't call it a shooting. We're not sure. You don't know what a gun is. You don't know what a shot is. This is just, again, it makes sense when they say don't call it a shooting until authorities do, because we don't want to go down that rabbit hole only to pull it back because we are incapable of human emotions. So again, the fact that they won't even try to present themselves as neutral or show empathy for a man who was shot at or another man who was shot and killed, this is unforgivable. And again, yesterday, President Biden asked the nation to lower the temperature of partisan politics. The media could have shown us how to do this, but instead they are showing that they cannot. And some of the headlines I saw around Twitter and X and such is, you cannot hate them enough. Every day I do. I hate them more. So I'm trying. But let me know how you feel about this, because this is the journalism that I studied in school, and they get an F minus. They get a negative 100%. Let me know how we can hate them more, and we'll do it together.
So, yeah, I mean, a lot of people, there's a lot of questions still surrounding all of this. A lot of people asking our opinion on the BlackRock video that Laura Loomer broke that story yesterday, the BlackRock video. It was like a promotional video for schools, and they used Bethel Park, Pennsylvania in the school, in the BlackRock video. And you can see the shooter, Thomas Crooks, in the video. BlackRock has since taken that video down. There's nothing further. BlackRock didn't issue a statement on that as to how he was in this ad, but he's just like an extra in the classroom as they're filming the teachers and stuff. It just is a quick pass. I don't know. It's amazing how someone found that. Yeah. Was able to like scan that and find that that's him. That was Thomas Crooks in the video, and BlackRock took it down, again, not issuing a statement on that. Other people pointing out, it's like, yes, there is a uniparty. So we should all remember there are 100 million Americans who think that both parties are criminal. You know, the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. And almost every Republican, as Thomas Massey reminds us, takes money from AIPAC. They all are involved in this. There's very few of these Republicans who I could put up on one hand that I have respect for. So let's be very clear about that. And the same thing with Democrats. There's almost none that I could put up on one hand that I have any kind of respect for at all. So it is a uniparty. And so I don't know, and who is responsible for this? Was it a deep state attempt to silence President Trump, to take him down because he's not going to play ball with their plans and wants to defund large portions of the deep state, wants to legitimately drain the swamp this time? The concerns of Colonel McGregor. I just will say this. Colonel McGregor, who's been a guest on our show, he worked for the Trump administration. He's told me, and he said right on our air, his biggest concerns about President Trump, of course, and the uniparty is that there won't be a draining of the swamp. He had the opportunity to do it the first time. Does he hopefully not surround himself with those types of people again? People like Mike Pompeo? Yeah. Like that would be an absolute huge concern to see Mike Pompeo as part of the new Trump administration. Yes, we saw him, commenting on the Trump assassination over the weekend. And Clayton and I were horrified that Fox News would platform this person who attempted to assassinate Julian Assange. Yeah. So you should, I guess if you want an assassin's perspective, that's what you do, but at least you should put that in the lower third, attempted assassination fellow. Right. Right. Fox News contributor, like Mike Pompeo. Like, how do you get a guy like this as your Fox News contributor? We don't get to forget, right? Like, yes, absolutely. We are happy that President Trump survived. We are horrified that another civilian died. We should not then, though, forget things about politics that we already knew. And I think that Dan Cohen put this really beautifully on X. He's a friend of the show from Uncaptured Media, that, as President Trump was mostly faithful to the permanent party, uniparty's war agenda, but he is someone that doesn't always adhere to the diktats of the deep state, and they found that unacceptable. That's how I feel about it. And so, we can't filter out and that's the way everything we don't like. Yeah, that's the way Colonel McGregor felt about it, right? Yeah. It's like, we got to stop these wars. And like, so there are things that he had all these people surrounding him, telling him to do certain things, and then he goes along with it.
Right.
And you hope that, I really, really pray that if he becomes president, that he's not surrounded by these same deep state WEF agenda folks. Again,
right.
The Mike Pompeos of the world.
And I want to read this quote from Dan Cohen. He says, the U.S. has no problem assassinating foreign political figures deemed a threat to its agenda. Only the most naive and ignorant people think that that can't happen at home.